All right, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, codename Agent. Who? Oh, it's Danger, god damn it. And check it out, man. For this video, I wanted to give you guys a first look at Jean Grey in this new Marvel Girl uniform. Now, before I get this started, I gotta let y'all know this is the 5.9 beta APK test server, whatever you want to call it. So anything you see here is subject to change when the update goes live on Tuesday, rolling into Wednesday if everything stays on schedule, right? However, I know there's a lot of controversy when it comes to Jean Grey, right? Anytime Jean Grey gets touched, which it's not that often, right? She came in, she was super dominant, she remained dominant for as long as I can remember. As soon as she started slipping, she got this uniform, pushed her to the absolute brink of where any character could probably ever hope to be. And now they're giving her a uniform that's creating the first ever universal mutant, right? We have Jean Grey, and that's making her a little bit more offensive for PvP, which she was already the queen of PvP, and people fear her and hate her for that reason. Even people who love the character from the comics despise her for PvP just because of how dominant she is. And that tells me that the character is doing exactly what they're supposed to do, right? If a character is just so powerful that you just hate them because they're powerful, like, you know what I'm saying? That's perfect. Anyways, especially when it's Jean Grey who's supposed to be powerful. If only every character that was supposed to be powerful was like accurate in Marvel Future Fight, then maybe people wouldn't be so upset about Jean Grey. Either way, this is what's happening. Jean Grey is getting another uniform. Do you need to buy it? Honestly, I don't think so. Sure, the universal tag is nice, and it's probably going to make it so that she takes over the Universal Superhero Day from Captain Marvel, the female superhero day for ABX. But who the hell cares about ABX? The rewards are garbage anyways, so unless those are getting improved, why the heck would you buy a universal uniform for Jean Grey for just that, right? If anything, you should buy it for PvP so you can slay more, but just keep in mind that you're losing the damage reduction and the great advantage that you have against people like Apocalypse. We don't really care about Wolverine for PvP because unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, I don't think he's gonna be able to take down Jean Grey, even like, you know what I'm saying, with Jean Grey losing this massive advantage with the universal uniform. Now, additionally, I find that this uniform may actually be a PvE uniform. For the first time, we might actually see a uniform that is not supposed to replace the one that came before it, just give us another way of playing the character, because with this uniform, you're not skill canceling with Jean Grey as much, right? With this uniform, you can basically just go 4 cancel, 5 cancel, 3, 2, 1. That's it, right? And when you do that and you cancel all these skills for Jean Grey in the X-Men Red uniform, what happens is sometimes you're running around, you have no skills to use. The thing is, with this uniform, you cannot do that as often, because the forward skill, if you want to actually get the full length of the attack, you absolutely have to let it play out, because it's a psionic wave that she's firing with one hand and she's just sliding around the map. And this might actually make it so that it's better to use Jean Grey with a regular damage proc or a CDP of energy if you don't have Rage. Now, Rage is still going to be superior, but I'm just saying, because you don't have to skill cancel all these skills, well, you never have to skill cancel, right? However, sometimes it's just way more optimal to cancel the skills, and that way you can get way more damage. So with this Jean Grey, I think she may actually be a little bit better than the X-Men Red Jean Grey with a damage proc. Will Rage still be best? Probably. It's highly unlikely that Rage is going to be weaker, but that still remains to be seen. We're going to have to do some testing on the live server, but for now, what I'm going to do here is just show you guys how Jean Grey's new uniform compares to the old one. Now, unfortunately, on this APK, I don't have enough XP chips or enough time to get this uniform to Mythic, right? I only have like 6 level 3s and 1 level 2, so that's not going to get me to Mythic, unfortunately. This is what the uniform looks like in terms of options. We got Namor there. You guys should all have that uniform. If you don't, what are you doing? Buy it immediately. And you have endgame Captain Marvel right there, which is really good. And she might be getting replaced for ABX. Anyways, with that said, I'm going to show you guys what's being improved via uniform bonus. So she's getting 5% more all attack, whoop-de-doo. But then again, Jean Grey is the pinnacle of power, so 5% more power on that is probably enough to piss off some people. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. You know what I'm saying? She's probably gonna kill you 1% faster with 5% more all attack. Additionally, right, she's getting more crowd control. So she always had time freeze, right? You can see right here on this uniform, she still has the time freeze. However, now she's getting additional crowd control, which is why I'm thinking this is probably meant for PvE content. She's getting paralysis, ignores immunity, and it lasts for 2 seconds. So it works in World Boss to make it so that when you're doing this beam, people like Ebony Maw can't just like iframe out of it. They're gonna freaking like paralyze them and just beam me up, Scotty. You know what I'm saying? So it's really cool. In addition to that, she can probably now be better utilized with a CTP of Judgment because she has less skills that deal energy damage specifically and more skills that do mind damage. You can see with this uniform, she has 1, 2, 3, 4, and her tier 3 is fire. So she has 5 out of 6 skills that does elemental damage. So if you didn't have a raise because you couldn't afford it before and you got like a Judgment from like the login CTP chest, you could slap it on Jean Grey and that could actually work for you in PvE content, and it would be much more effective than just using her with a regular damage proc. So what we're gonna do for Jean Grey here is actually take her into World Boss, do a little bit of a comparison between the uniforms to show you guys what the damage looks like, but keep in mind the uniforms are both at different ranks, so I'd have to redo this comparison once I get the Marvel Girl uniform up to Mythic on my own account. But what I will show you is the crowd control that you now have with Jean Grey in this uniform. It's a lot better and you don't have to rely on strikers as much anymore, right? Especially against this annoying old geezer who's one of the best bosses to take down with my Jean Grey on the live server right now. So let's see if we can keep this guy completely locked down with the time freeze in addition to the paralysis. Like I said, I feel like this uniform is supposed to be utilized like more so for PvE content and not PvP per se. Like ADX and World Boss, because okay, you still got into that animation, which kind of sucks, but you now have more control, especially when cut time is not one of the modifiers, because we can just go back and forth between time freeze and paralysis, which is good, right? It makes it so that if cut time is a modifier, you're not losing all of Jean Grey's crowd control, and you don't have to rely too heavily on mind control strikers or other strikers in general. So we're just gonna see how long it takes to get this geezer down to 8.5 bars. The one skill also got changed, but like honestly, it's so minor that I don't think it makes a difference in the grand scheme of things. Okay, stop guard breaking me, clown. Get out of that, clown. Okay, so that was 1 minute and 28 seconds. Let's try it again without the Marvel Girl uniform. Alright, so with us losing the paralysis from the 4th skill, he will be able to move around a little bit more, but we'll be able to cancel the skills faster. For what that's worth. We'll see if we can get more damage. Now I didn't use the tier 3 skill at all last time because that's not being changed, so I don't really need to use it, and I'm getting guard broken in the corner. Seems like I'm doing way less damage. Why is that? Yeah. Seems like I'm doing way less damage. Nani? Ah, you know why? I know why. Because she has more mind damage skills. Ah, on the new uniform. So the new uniform may actually be way better for Ebony Maw specifically. Interesting. How far behind are we going to be though? Okay. I wonder if it's going to be like a Scarlet Witch situation where one uniform is specifically better for one boss. Let's see. And because we don't have the paralysis, he keeps iframing and getting out of the skills. So if cut time was on this stage, right, we would also be taking even more of a damage reduction. Yeah, Jean Grey looks a lot weaker for Ebony in this uniform. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are way behind. Like way behind. Golly. I'm gonna do a little bit of testing against Cull Obsidian right after we get. Yeah, we're gonna be like almost a minute behind. Wow. And it all comes down to the fact that he's iframing a lot more, and we have way less control over his movement. And additionally, we have less mind damage skills, less elemental skills, and as you all know, even though this clown takes a lot of damage from energy characters, mind damage or cold damage, fire damage, that's what you're supposed to be using against this guy. So like 1 minute slower, like more than that. And it comes down to two things so far from what I'm seeing. One, the paralysis, which gives you additional control, and two, the additional elemental skills. All right, so what we're gonna do here is jump over against Cull and see what it looks like. All right, so we're just gonna run through a stage 25 Cull Obsidian, and essentially what we're gonna do is just about a minute of the fight, see how far we can get this guy. Now, the reason why we chose Cull Obsidian is because he's kind of the opposite of Ebony Maw. He doesn't iframe at all, right? Well, that's not true. The earlier half of the fight, he jumps off the map, and that's an iframe. But for the most part, he doesn't iframe that much. And additionally, he has high elemental resistance. So I want to see if this version of Jean Grey is going to come out on top against Cull Obsidian, whereas she lost by a significant margin, right, against Ebony because mind damage and additional crowd control on the other uniform. Now the downside to canceling your skills is sometimes you're just floating around with nothing to do, but there's really, I would say, not that many reasons to let the skills play out, because sure, you can let them play out, but you're going to get the same amount of damage as if you cancel them. So, you know what I'm saying? You can just walk around and just flex, I guess, right? The only plus that I would say is you have more survivability because you can stay in your iframes longer if you don't cancel the skills, but at the exact same time, right, Jean Grey is not going to die, especially not how I'm doing this thing, right? And I realize it's past a minute, so we're gonna go a minute 30. Right, we stop at a minute 30 and right here. Now, considering the fact that this guy has high elemental resistance, we should lose this one, but we'll see. Now, it is much easier to play Jean Grey like this because the skills just mesh together a little bit better. And for the most part, you have less dead time when you're just running around, right? Because you don't cancel the force skill. So for some people, this might be a better version of Jean Grey to play with for PvE or just in general, okay? Why did I get time freeze? I use Jean Grey's leadership for a reason. Additionally, I just want to point out that one of these guys, I don't know which one it is, what's his name? Werewolf or Ulysses Claw. They have a CTP of Insight on them, and I didn't notice until I started this thing. Got guard broken there. So that's what you see keeps going off, but it goes off around the same point of basically every fight, so it's not really screwing things too much. But it looks like this version of Jean Grey is definitely stronger for PvE content at the very least. Like, I'm seeing more damage here right? Yeah, either the same amount of, no man, this is more damage, because you know why? Even if it's the same damage against Cull Obsidian, it's more damage against everybody else because Cull Obsidian has higher elemental resistance, and additionally because this uniform is still at advance. So it looks like this might actually be the PvE uniform for Jean Grey, and this one might actually be the PvP uniform for Jean Grey, just because, like I spoke about in a previous video, for this uniform you can't blitz the enemy, right? You can't just do 5 cancel 4 2 3 and just like completely light up the map and have so many attacks like guard breaking the enemy that they literally die in 2 seconds, like you can do with this uniform right here. Where is it? This one. Okay, so with this uniform you can literally just have like 3 attacks going off at the same time, and you can essentially just spawn kill people in timeline, right? With the other uniform you can't, because this skill, right, whereas you can cancel it on this uniform and still get the beams to go off, you can't do that with the Marble Girl uniform. And to me, this is a really, really good thing for PvP. Having 3 skills hitting at the same time, you know what I'm saying? That's insane, versus only having 2 hitting at the same time in PvP. Alright, so I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me your thoughts in the comments, but I'm thinking, don't quote me on it right now, but I'm thinking this version of Jean Grey may actually be the PvE uniform. So you might actually need both if you want to be out here rocking in PvP, still slaying, and if you want to be in PvE, still killing it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments. More testing to come once I get this uniform on the live server. Till then, stay safe. I love you guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.